And Jeff, welcome to Voices of Endpoint. It's exciting to have you here. Uh, Jeff, tell me your journey before you came to Endpoint. I know you've been here for a long time, but tell us what did you do before you joined us?
That's a great question. I have been here for a while, sure. I've been here for about 13 years, so my days pre-endpoint are fleeting in my memory. But prior to endpoint, I worked for a couple different companies, in the e-clinical sphere, really focusing on RTSM technologies or e-clinical technologies. So I graduated a psychology major from Vassar College, and I fell into my first job in RTSM in late 2007 for a small startup company called Clarix Informatics that was a RTSM provider that wound up being acquired by Phase Forward and then Oracle. And then all of that team, or a lot of that team, spun off and is now the Savoda crew. So started off my journey in technical support and project management, fielding calls, phone lines, and helping customers deliver. And then after a couple years there, a few of the team members from that, we started a RTSM consulting and automated software testing company, really focused on, automated validation, high quality RTSM solutions, and operating for different businesses, helping really consult with their internal RTSM delivery, so elevated account management, project management. And then at Endpoint, about 13 years ago, I came in as a project manager. And then I've just grown my career here ever since, really operating in sales, marketing, development, testing, account management, product delivery, you name it. I've had the opportunity to experience a lot of different verticals at Endpoint. So it's been very exciting. And I look forward to continuing, my RTSM journey.
That's fantastic. So, Jeff, tell me a little bit about what is product management in your current role. What does it what does it entail? Give us a little bit of a brief on that role and what you do for us.
Absolutely. So here in product strategy, you can think of our product delivery really in a couple arms. We have our strategy group and then our engineering teams. Focusing on strategy, what we do is really we work with our customers, we work with operations, we survey the market, really synthesizing and building out our platform roadmap, focused on, what the industry is saying and what our customers and teams are saying. We synthesize a lot of that content into our delivery roadmap, our commercial strategy, working with sales and marketing, and then ultimately really synthesize it down to our user experience, our product designs, and our business requirements, working with our team to drive our features forward. Additionally, we do a lot with operationalizing the software as well. So whether it's supporting our customers, our live trial deliveries, elevated product support, you name it, we like to get in there and ultimately ensure that our customers have a positive experience.
And Jeff, so what is a typical day in the life of Jeff Rubesin? What goes on a daily
Uh,
basis?
Oh man, that's a big one. Yeah, so I mean, it's a little bit of everything. Wake up in the morning, check where we're at from our backlog, help my teams really synthesize any questions they have on building out these requirements, see what's going on from our production infrastructure, checking out how we're doing, monitoring that, fielding a lot of questions from our internal teams delivering on our software. I'll work, with the architecture team a lot, helping synthesize new features and innovative items there. I work with you a lot, sales and marketing, surrounding, requests from our teams on how we can drive our top of funnel roadmap. So I mean, it's a little bit of everything. I'm typically an ADHD personality in general, so I like hopping from thing to thing. And fortunately, my job has the opportunity to engage that part of my brain. It's good.
That's fantastic. And as you started to build your team, you built a very unique team, Jeff. Tell me about how did you bring this band of characters together, and what are their secret superpowers you built in them to make them such a successful product strategy team?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, My team has definitely evolved over the last, anywhere 6 to 8 years, depending on where we're at our growth as a growth state of our business. I mean, typically my team comes from either folks within operations who have elevated themselves into a product role, kind of continuing that career trajectory at Endpoint. Or, we do work with a lot of contracting and consulting companies. So, sometimes we find good fits from those companies that, are so excited about the opportunity here that they want to come join us. We have had a few really good hires as well. Really, so it comes from all different areas, whether it's internal, external, or industry-led folks. We have a few people who have joined from our sponsor side, who have enjoyed the mission at Endpoint, and really bring a lot of that subject matter expertise in-house. So, typically we'll pull talent from wherever talent exists. But typically we enjoy those subject matter experts who can really help us drive different verticals.
You're bringing in a lot of operational experience, subject matter expertise, sponsor experience. Tell me, how is your team structured? What makes this kick-ass product strategy team in the market?
Yeah, no, for sure. So our team is structured into basically strategy and design, right? Our whole thing is we have a lot of focus on our product design and our user experience, looking at our sites, our sponsors, our patients, and our CROs and how we can best fit their workflows into our technology. So we have, leadership within our design team. We have some product designers, researchers who will help us synthesize our requirements, and ultimately our design side really responsible for how the product works, how it flows, and how it operates. Then from the strategic side, we have a team of product managers who are focused in different verticals. We have, one within integrations, helping with the third-party connectivity, one within data and AI, really focused on our platform data model and evolving requirements around that. And then we have a team of product managers really focused on our feature delivery, ensuring that our individual Scrum teams, which are kind of delivery units, if you will, are fully focused on what they need to do, how they need to do it, and ultimately what they're implementing. So it's a pretty small team, but we're structured in a way that really allows us to deliver across our different product verticals.
You brought up data and AI, and as you're starting to look at how RTSM is transforming, what are your thoughts? How are you bringing AI into the product? What are you seeing in the customer adoption and requests from the customer? Tell us a little bit about the AI journey with ELO.
Yeah, no, excited about that. So, when it comes to AI, there's a lot of opportunities, whether it's LLMs, whether it's ML, whether, everybody's focused on LLMs right now, but there's a bunch of different types of AI that we can implement. And typically when we're approaching an AI initiative, it'll either be within the user experience. How do we optimize our workflows, make the day-to-day lives easier of our individual users, within our data, providing different types of insights and opportunities with the information that we collect for the clinical trials. For example, launching ELO Insights is a really big milestone for us that we're really excited about. And then, within business processes and kind of our delivery process, right? So it's not always just AI, it's a lot of business process automation that uses AI, but really how can we deliver faster with better quality, and ultimately use AI within our development processes. So it's kind of the internal through the external, and then the external is focused really on data and then our user experience.
And Jeff, it's interesting how you're building up these features for AI. How are you getting yourself and your team up to speed with AI, and how do you get all of these different ideas? How do you keep abreast with what's going on? Things are happening in such a fast pace.
Absolutely. We leverage a lot of honestly, a lot of our architecture team. They'll go in, they'll do some POCs, some high level, kind of inform us of what's happening within the technology space. and then, work with us to see how we can, craft that within our product roadmap. So there's kind of one is technology led, where, as all this innovation is rapidly occurring, how can we get that input from our teams and then see how we can build that into product features. The other one is a little bit more blue sky, where we have these ideas, we have these concepts of how we can, make our users' lives a lot easier. And then we'll look at the technology and see how it can fit the use case, right? So it's kind of a joint experience of both technology led, but also strategy led, as we continue to investigate, how we can basically leverage AI within our workflows. Some of it is also top-down strategic led, from yourself and from others, as far as real, industry cutting edge, a lot of, blue sky opportunity that would really push us forward as a business. And when you look at all three of those, it's okay, how can we get stuff now? How can we get stuff in the interim? And then how can we plan for future implementations that will, continue to work with our roadmap?
Yeah. And Jeff, product strategy is really a nerve center in working with multiple teams, of course, with our customers, but with our internal product engineering teams and our operations teams. Tell me that dynamics with each of those stakeholders. How do you go about engaging them and making sure that the nerve center is contributing to the good communication between all the different players in this ecosystem?
Yeah, no, we get a lot of input into product strategy, and it's not always easy synthesizing and prioritizing all the input. But as I was kind of talking about it, right, we get input from the industry, right? So whether it's industry events, whether it's what our competition's doing, what it's our customers saying, obviously input from the customers, which typically channels down through our account and operations team, and we work with them to prioritize that. We got innovation from our individual group, how we can, based on our SME, how we can move forward our features and functionality. And then obviously all of our internal teams, all the way from customer support, how can we better help our sites, through our sponsor account teams, how can we better implement features for each one of our strategics, and then the individual operations group. So, there's many, many channels of input. Typically, we take all of that. We have some tools that we use internally to help us really synthesize, roadmap it, pin it down to features, and then ultimately a release plan. But it's a constant influx of information, and it's a challenge to really be able to take all this input and then build very, very usable, user-centric prototypes with basically that will service all 150 plus of our sponsors. But once you do, it's really rewarding, not just for our teams, but also our end users.
Yeah. And Jeff, 2025 has been a phenomenal year for Velocity. You launched it in April and you're seeing some market traction. So what are you hearing from the market? What do they like in Velocity? Why is this platform taken off so quickly in the market?
Yeah, no, I think, based on our Everest assessment, we're definitely in a pretty good standing right now when it comes to our brand, when it comes to our technology. Doesn't mean there's not a lot more work to do, because as we know, we're constantly evolving our roadmap. But when it comes to the adoption, what we're hearing are people obviously love the interface and the workflow of the product. We spent a lot of time and effort designing this platform, based on all of our strategics, based on our existing, Pulse software, as well as some other products that we brought to market over the years. And, we took a lot of time to take that and synthesize it into a real positive user journey within the product itself. So the user experience is top notch. The integrations marketplace is a big differentiator for us, really being able to focus on platform integrations and then quickly have them configured for each unique clinical trial. Obviously, a lot of upcoming features with our data and AI roadmap are getting a lot of buzz and excitement, really being able to easily ask questions and get feedback from your data. We know that RTSM has a fairly complex data set. So how can we, be able to easily surface this information while maintaining the blind and the security of these trials? The configurability and flexibility with the designer is really a big one. I always say, hey, what's one of the biggest KPIs for me? I want our internal teams to say, hey, I love building RTSM protocols on Velocity, right? So we spent a lot of time working through how we can, rapidly configure study designs with high flexibility for the unique clinical trial protocol requirements. How can we easily deploy, version, and manage it, handle protocol amendments? There's a lot of buzz when it comes to just not what we delivered, but how we're delivering it within the process. So, really end to end as far as the delivery through the user experience, we're getting a lot of good input on different things that we've put forward.
Jeff, great workflow, making it easy for people to work and all of that. One of the things you've always talked about is this view of sponsor data. And why is that more important now in the clinical trial supply world versus before? You've been in RTSM for a long time. Why is that so much more pertinent and important now, and how that is a critical differentiator for Velocity?
Yeah, no, great point. So, when we built Velocity, we were thinking, hey, well, we know it has to be highly flexible for each individual clinical trial design, but really, clinical supplies doesn't think at a study by study basis. They're considering their whole portfolio, how they can minimize waste and maximize their supply chain, right? So what we did was our data tenancy model is at that sponsor level, within Velocity, which really allows not just a bunch of high quality data insights across your entire portfolio, but it also allows for the functionality to be leveraged easily from trial to trial, right? So when you think about things like mastering your data, mastering your share depot list, your kit types, your clinical sites, your IP and inventory, all of that, while it can be configured for each study, it really lives across your studies, which allows for a lot of high flexibility with the functionality, but also, the data insights that you can get from that. So that's a big one. We spent a lot of basically when we went live with this, we built not just a product, but also a data platform in parallel that really provides us a lot of opportunity from, sharing our data, from our customers getting access to our data, obviously with security in mind.
So, Jeff, the whole platform is evolving. You're building better experiences, better data visibility. As you put yourself in the product strategy side, where is RTSM going in the next 24, 36 months? Where do you see the big impact for sponsors? And where are you looking to build feature sets which can be compellingly differentiated?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So it's actually, I keep referencing this. If you were at IRT Barry Moore did a really great presentation surrounding where IRT is going to be in 5 years, where it could be in 10 years, where it could be 50 years down the line. So, that was really invigorating to see how the entire clinical trial space was evolving, and obviously how RTSM can match, where we're going as an industry. So, within the next, 2 to 3 years when it comes to endpoint, we're really doubling down on the supply chain, doubling down on integrations and platform functionality to drive connectivity with our different sponsor ecosystems. When it comes to data and AI, continuing to evolve, very functional use cases, but also tackle a few big hairy items when it comes to, leveraging the information, doing things like, USDM protocol extraction, really a lot of digitization, if I can say that word, of the protocol. Additionally, obviously, really customer focused, right? How can we work with our customers to, whether it's minor features, whether it's major features, ensure that they have everything that they need within the product. So really, it kind of goes down to those three verticals. Data integrations and ultimately RTSM functionality. I always say that, while we have a very large roadmap, ultimately for me, the priority is really, it's based on our customer input and adoption, right? So even though we have large plans of how we want to roll out these features and functionality, we want to make sure that we're aligned with our customer base when it comes to ultimately driving the priority of these items. So, if you have a 5 year roadmap, I'm not one to publish a 5 year roadmap because I typically think that it's always going to change. And I think that's really important to be flexible as we continue to drive adoption on our software.
Jeff, you have such an exciting job, variety of things, good feedback. What does Jeff do beyond work at Endpoint, and what's fun for Jeff?
Oh man, what does Jeff do beyond endpoint? It's ebbed and flowed over the years. High level, I have a 4-year-old right now. He's awesome. His name's Ethan, and a lot of time is spent with him these days. Individually, I try to stay in shape when I can. I'm an avid musician. I play guitar, really into classic rock, the Grateful Dead. Like, hit me up if you have any concert tickets. But I mean, at the end of the day, I try to spend time with my family, my friends. Ironically, a lot of my friend group at this point is tangential or within the industry, as is. So, do a little work with play from time to time.
And that's super exciting. As you start to, you've seen the journey of Endpoint through your 12, 13 years. As you look at our mission and our core employee values, what resonates most with you in the employee values?
Yeah, I mean, even though Endpoint has changed over the years, I mean, innovation has always been a lifeblood of the company, right? It's funny, the original founder always on when we were onboarded, there was one slide, and all it was stasis equals death, right? So ultimately, how can you continue to innovate? How can you continue to adjust to, macro microeconomic things that are happening within the world, as your business change, how can you pivot to ultimately support your business and the industry? I think innovation to me is really the key. Whether it's the littlest thing that makes a difference or the biggest thing that makes a difference. Every time that I approach an individual decision, right, it's just like, okay, well, how can you make it better? How can you optimize it? How can you automate it? How can you productize it? Ultimately, continuing to innovate in every little and every big area that at least I touch. And I think that we have a lot of employees that focus on that, and that continues to really inspire the business.
So, Jeff, if you were to uh, have somebody come to join Endpoint, what would be your pitch? Why should they join us?
Yeah, well, outside the best technology platform on the market, I mean, obviously, we have a really strong leadership team. We're at a good business size that really focuses on, okay, well, we're a mature RTSM provider, but also, we're highly innovative and continuing to evolve internally. There's never a day that goes by that there isn't, an opportunity to learn, whether it's self-guided or just, investigating different things that happen, always learning new technology, working with our customers. We have a great customer base. So, continuing to client face and work with them. I think there's a lot of reasons to join Endpoint, but for me, really, it's that strong match of business maturity and technology innovation.
Fantastic. And Jeff, you've seen multiple leadership teams come here together. Any inputs for me and Jennifer? What's good to continue and what's things you would like to change?
Yeah, that's a good one. No, I mean, I think you guys are doing a great job. At the end of the day, I think that from a leadership perspective, right, it's just there's a lot going on within our business as far as, basically evolving our technology, evangelizing, continuing to build out our Velocity platform while maintaining releases and high quality with our existing, systems and processes. So there's, a lot of scope. So I think just having a good eye on all of that is super important. I also think, this company tends to respond to people who can get into the weeds, which I know you guys are really strong at. So I think that's important, being able to really understand, the nuances of what we do and how we do it and why we do it, but also, be able to look at that from a strategic kind of lens. So I think that, we're doing a great job. I will say this is probably the strongest leadership team I've seen, in the history of Endpoint. So I'm really looking forward to 2026 and beyond.
Jeff, this has been amazing. Really appreciate it. I don't know how time flew. It's always fun chatting with you, and thank you for being at Voices of Endpoint.
All right. Appreciate it.